bioethics as a whole is infantile compared to many other philosophical topics. While the field subdivision of medical ethics, non-human ethics, and environmental ethics have been conversation points for centuries, the unity of all such thoughts has just arisen due to a rapid development in technology. Bioethics comes from the Latin terms of bio, meaning life, and ethos, meaning behavior. The term of bioethics is ambiguous in origin. Some purport the term was coined by Fritz Jar in 1926, and others arguing its usage in a modern context to Van Rensselaer Potter II in 1970. At most, the field has had under a century to develop. Despite its short lifespan, the complexity of the topic is innumerable. To even attempt to cover the array of topics under this umbrella term within a short period would be a farce. Instead, we will largely focus on the origins of this field and its definitions, notable houses of thought regarding relationships and truth-telling, and HIPAA. Bioethics includes an array of topics regarding preservation of life and integrity. These topics are distinguished from other fields of philosophy, such as medical ethics, as they focus on the responsibility of the doctor and relation to their patients.
You're married, I'm pregnant, you're my doctor.
You're right, it's crazy. It's unethical on my part.
Topics under the umbrella of bioethics notably include end-of-life care, euthanasia, genetic testing and editing, in vitro fertilization or fertilization without consummation, birth of children with medical defects such as developmental disabilities or life-threatening illnesses, free and general use of dialysis and hemodialysis, allotment of scarce medical resources such as antibiotics, organ donation and allocation of said organs.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Stem cell research, cloning of any organism exceeding a bacterial level, and confidentiality. Bioethical observation serves as a way to discuss concerns civilly within the scientific and medical community. As such, the general public has minimal interactions or value in adding to this discourse. Despite exclusivity in form, controversy over these topics occurs primarily from views outside of the medical community, such as with religious organizations and lawmakers. For sake of time and ease of information, we'll be focusing on topics that concern patients on a day-to-day basis. Mercy killing, euthanasia, abortion, anything regarding a fetus, cloning, and stem cell research will not be discussed further in this program.
You took an oath. If you recall,
to many, the most well-known ethical stance in relation to biological sciences is the Hippocratic Oath. Physicians of all fields and scientists who work with humans and animals swear to uphold the standards of this oath upon completion of degrees or certifications. Many attribute the work's authorship to Hippocrates, who is described as the father of medicine. His revolutionary idea that earned this title was that diseases were naturally occurring phenomena as opposed to the wrath of divine figures. While Hippocrates did contest this aspect of divine theory, his oath did openly acknowledge and pay respect to the gods Apollo, Asclepius, Hygeia, and Panacea. The document swears to uphold standards of care and goodness in practice and to always act in best nature. The original document forbid any kind of abortion, use of knives for surgery, assisted suicide, and mercy killings. Due to these hesitations regarding now standard medical procedures, the oath has been modified.
I solemnly pledge to consecrate my life to the service of humanity. I will give to my teachers the respect and gratitude that is their due. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. The health of my patients will be my #1 consideration. I will respect the secrets that are confided in me, even after my patient has died. I will maintain by all the means in my power the honor and the noble traditions of the medical profession. My colleagues will be my sisters and brothers. I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, race, political affiliation, nationality, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will not use my medical knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
While universities all have individual interpretations of the oath, the standardized translation is attributed to Louis Lasagna, academic dean of the School of Medicine at Tufts University in 1964. Lasagna's translation focuses on the principles of bedside manner being paramount, prevention of overtreatment or dismissal, collaboration and honesty with colleagues, preventative over curative remedies, and protection of patient privacy. Today, the Hippocratic Oath forms the basis of bioethics internationally, but is far from its entirety. There are three major houses of thought regarding doctor-patient relationship. All seek to serve as an effective modus operandi of medical professionals, and all agree on the base level of standards such as prevention of conflict of interest. The three main houses are the paternal view, the radical individualistic view, and the reciprocal view.
Skip the drama, stay with mama. Mother knows best.
The paternalistic view argues that the doctor should make decisions on behalf of the patient, similar to a parent taking care of a child. It is divided into two submodels. These subdivisions include the engineering model and the priestly model.
Engineering, where the noble, semi-skilled laborers execute the vision of those who think and dream. Hello, Oompa Loompas of science.
The engineering model was popularized by Robert Veitch in 1970s. This model believes a doctor should act akin to an applied scientist in view of human life. Physicians are to detach from the emotion or views of the patient to provide the best care. Emotional constraint for efficient operation is key, making it a darling for Kantian philosophers. The largest criticism of the house is its insensitivity to patient emotion. Some argue the engineering model was the philosophy most in line with eugenic views, as it disrespects patient autonomy and does not hold sanctity of life as paramount. While Kantian philosophers have the rule that humans are a means to themselves and not to other ends, those operating under the engineering model do not necessarily follow this. The second view, the priestly model, has been the most common model followed globally. This model first took popularity with clerical healers and apothecaries in the Middle Ages. In this view, doctors must provide a sanctuary and hospice environment. Doctors should allow patients to confide in them. However, the doctor still may decide on their behalf if they believe the patient is making an ill-informed decision. This too faces similar criticism as the engineering model in relation to eugenics and other malpractices. However, other criticism is levied in that the doctors do not have time to foster the relationship that is necessary to know what is best for a patient. The doctor would be forced to make generalizations of care, which would disrespect aspects of individualism. To stand in stark contrast of the detached paternalistic view, the radical individualist house of thought was formed. This view states that patients hold supreme rights over their body and lives. They can reject and accept any care they wish. This view is popular among medical boards that offer more controversial procedures, such as abortion, euthanasia, and medical dispensary. This view can often give patients more treatment options than the paternalistic view, such as easy access to medicinal cannabis, antibiotics, and non-FDA approved treatment options. The doctor's opinion and advice will come second to the patient. This is where concern arises. Medical personnel attend schooling for years past their peers to become experts in their field. Should the view of an expert be considered equally to someone who may only have cursory knowledge of a subject? Not only this, but some argue that this house encourages overtreatment originally warned by the Hippocratical Oath. Considering some medicines become less effective the more made, such as antibiotics, the consequences of liberal usage could have devastating outcomes.
What are your thoughts on this momentous occasion? Your neutralness?
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
The last view is a mixture between the prior houses. The moderate operative view takes the best of both houses. The warmness and gentle nature of the radical individualist view is combined with the efficient certainty of the paternalistic view. Doctors' views come paramount, but they must be sympathetic to the concerns of the patient. This house of thought encourages doctors to always tell the truth, but it must be done humanely, gently, and kindly. In this truth-telling, aspects of care or severity may be withheld from the patient. More information is given to the guardians and the family of the patient, and the group internally decides how to best tell their loved one who is receiving care. This model also emphasizes the need to use layperson's terms for easier communication. This house is the favorite of care ethicists. Critics of this house argue that no person can be moderate in a given situation, as people often have internal biases and preferences. This model also is time-consuming, something that is not viable in the clogged American system. To see the difference in operation between these houses, we use an example. A mother does not want to vaccinate her child for whatever reason. How does the doctor from each house handle this? In the engineering view, the doctor administers the vaccine regardless of protest, as he knows it will prevent lethal diseases the child may contract. A priestly doctor would vaccinate the child, but they would explain the nuances and reasoning of the decision with the mother. The radical individualist doctor would not vaccinate the child. The moderate doctor would try best to reason with the mother, but would also not vaccinate the child. Now, the moderate doctor may offer some potential homeopathic or otherwise alternative treatments as well. While these views may seem innocuous to the general public, the distinction could be the difference in saving lives. Radical individualism and moderate doctors run the risk of the child's death and the potential spread of an epidemic. The paternalistic view operates under a utilitarian philosophy which is necessary for vaccination. However, this right answer may not be so apparent in situations such as forced sterilization, hospitalization, or other such acts. We move to the aspect of truth-telling. It is common for people to lie in some way or another to preserve the psyche of others and maintain order. Should doctors be allowed this same jurisdiction to withhold and potentially lie to patients about their care?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled to.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
The previous houses of thought all share unique views as to when and if disclosure is appropriate. Truth-telling is situationally dependent, hence why there are unique ways to determine what level of honesty the doctor must display. Remember, dishonesty is not indicative of malpractice. Doctors are not lying to you because they want to hoard business, nor are they not telling the truth so that they can do illegal acts.
Can you do that? Is that legal?
Another trifecta of ideology regards truth-telling. While there is some overlap with the three previous ideologies, they are not one and the same. Instead, these are categorical tools used by the previous three houses: the paternalistic, the moderate, and the right-to-know view. The paternalistic view, used by its eponymous house, views that it is the doctor's job to decide the truth. The doctor is his own judge, jury, and executioner for executive functions within care.
Who's the judge? What? Who's the judge?
The doctor chooses whether to reveal the whole truth or any of the truth to the patient. Critics of this view argue that doctors do not have the time necessary to forge a relationship with a patient to best understand their own psychological care on top of their physical care.
So, you don't know me, okay?
Okay.
Not only this, some believe it promotes a domino situation that could lead to more medical malpractice lawsuits in an already clogged legal system.
Mr. Reed, it is out of sheer morbid curiosity I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
Next is the right-to-know view. In this view, proponents believe that patients should be made fully aware of the truth, even if it will harm them physically or psychologically.
And the truth shall set you free!
Patients may commit suicide or become deeply depressed over their imminent mortality. The patient may grow hostile and lash out at doctors, possibly putting others at risk. There are a number of scenarios one could react with, almost all connecting to a negative emotion.
You've tested positive for HIV, which is the virus that causes AIDS.
You fucking kidding me? Talking about that fucking rock cock sucking Hudson bullshit?
Mr. Woodruff, have you ever used intravenous drugs? Have you ever engaged in homosexual conduct?
Homo. You say homo?
Yeah.
That's what she said, isn't it? You fucking kidding me? I ain't no motherfucker.
The final view, as with prior, is the moderate view. The moderate view is the most popular. To tell the truth humanely, gently, and kindly. The doctor may not tell the full extent of an issue or care to a patient, but may tell the entire truth to their family or loved ones. Not only this, but the moderate view emphasizes the use of layperson's terms over the medical certainty. For example, a doctor would use strep throat over streptococcal pharyngitis.
I'm sorry, you're James's dad?
No, I'm his uncle.
Come over and let me look at the scan with you. This is the scan we just did today of his knee, and this is looking right through the middle of the knee, and what we're looking at right through here is the ACL, and what this shows is that he's had a fairly significant, a fairly serious injury. James, let me show you. Right through here is where the injury is, and it looks like you've had a pretty serious injury to that part of your knee. Significant enough that I have concerns about what you can do from here on.
So when can I suit up?
Well, let me just say, with how your knee felt when I examined it and what I see on the scan, with the things that you do well, the reason you're great is that you can run and cut and hammer people and you don't hesitate because you've got a solid knee. When you don't have this ligament, you can't do that, so it's really out of the question.
Let's look to an example to distinguish the views of these houses. A 14-year-old girl has a saccular, which is a cerebral aneurysm on the artery essential to supplying her brain with blood and oxygen. The saccular aneurysm spreads its branches at an aggressive rate. It is expected that some of the branches will increase internal pressure within the brain significantly over the next 2-year period. Should it rupture, she will die after suffering a stroke. The doctors question whether the child will even live to 16. Should the doctors tell the 14-year-old that she will likely die within the next 2 years? The paternalistic view argues it would be too damaging for the patient or their parents to learn this information. The patient's death will be painless and has no prevention, so what value would it serve to tell her of her imminent demise? Would a sudden, tragic loss be easier to mourn than a progressive awareness of the child's state from their surviving family? The paternalistic doctor assures the parents to live a meaningful life and appreciate the times they have left, without telling the patient or the family how numbered the child's days really are. The right to know view tells the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Perhaps this will cause the child to fall into a depression and take their life prior to the 2-year period ending. The doctor runs the risk that the patient may harm themselves or others, as they now lack consequences of death due to its imminent approach. The doctor, in telling the whole truth, accepts the possibility that the family may grow to resent the child's presence, detaching up until their death as a way to preemptively cope. The whole truth could grant high-stakes consequences. Either way, the response is likely extreme. The moderate view tells the child that they still have a while to live, even if it may not be as long as others. This moderate doctor gently assures the patient and recommends them to contact organizations such as Make-A-Wish Foundation and a therapist. The moderate doctor tells the parents and the family of the death statistics of such a diagnosis, but will talk of uncertainty about the time frame. The moderate doctor gets tissues for the patient's mother as she weeps and tries best to explain it to the patient's younger siblings in a way that they can understand. This difficult process is deeply time-consuming, but may offer some peace to the patients and the parents. We move to perhaps the most critical patient-relevant aspect of their relationship with medical personnel, the application of HIPAA. In this presentation, we discussed several aspects within bioethics. The field as a whole entails end-of-life care, euthanasia, genetic testing and editing, in vitro fertilization or fertilization without consummation, birth of children with medical defects such as developmental disabilities or life-threatening illnesses, free and general use of dialysis and hemodialysis, allotment of scarce medical resources such as antibiotics, organ donation and allocation of said organs, stem cell research, cloning of any organism exceeding a bacterial level, and confidentiality. However, for this presentation, we focused specifically on foundations of care through the Hippocratic Oath and its translations. We moved to views of patient-doctor relations, including the paternal view, the radical individualistic view, and the reciprocal view. We discussed the ability of the doctor to choose which method best suits them, and we discussed 3 views of truth-telling: paternalistic, the moderate, and the right to know. And finally, we discussed what is the power of HIPAA. It is my hope that in viewing this presentation, you have a better understanding of how to get the best health care by knowing what you might expect from your caregivers and knowing your rights as a patient. Thank you for watching.